Good morning, everyone. Today, I want to talk a little bit about this whole Trump arraignment thing. And, I'm going to approach it a little bit differently than I'm sure that you've all read 100 times. One side or the aisle, depending on who you're talking to. It's either the greatest thing that's ever happened or, our country is going to fall apart. Those of you that know, that have listened to me and know how I feel about him, Donald Trump, know that I'm pretty indifferent on the whole thing. I think the guy is a blowhard. I think which makes him no different than any other politician, right? But I also think that he did some pretty good things while he was in office. And if you can imagine 8 years of Barack Obama and then Hillary Clinton and then Biden, or maybe another 4 years of Hillary Clinton, where this country would be now without that interruption in the middle. So some people would probably or maybe argue that that may be a good thing. We'd be closer to the cliff or further along in this slow decline. Your opinion is yours. I have mine, but at any rate, I don't want to necessarily get into the politics of all of this, although I think there is a place in preparedness for politics, because things like this, the future of our country, the things that our government is going to be able to do is going to affect our ability to prepare in the first place, or how we do things. So while I try to kind of steer clear of a lot of politics on this channel, there are times, and it's times like this, when I think it does matter. And it's not really even about Donald Trump. And I'll get into that. Before I get into all of that, though, I wanted to mention I'm going to be doing these videos just kind of getting on camera in the morning. That's usually when I read my news, watch the news on TV, read articles, go through Twitter, find out, the things that are happening during the day. Although some of that stuff unfolds during the day. And then maybe I'd talk about that the following day. But I'm going to try to do some of these just short videos going over some topics that I think are important, things that are newsworthy. I call this news from the bunker, news and notes from the bunker, because that's what I call my basement here. Not really a bunker, but anytime I come down here, I tell Lisa, hey, I'm going to the bunker. So it is nicknamed the bunker for me. Kids know it. Everyone knows it. But at any rate, that's the plans anyway going forward. That could be a daily thing. That could be every other day. Could be a couple times a day. Just really depends on what's going on. But with this story here, and I wanted to show you that just the dichotomy of all of this. This is from Newsweek, which is supposed to be a center type magazine, or whatever they are these days, online publication. And they are anything but. With some of the recent headlines, they're anything but. But a congressman basically said Trump will end his life behind bars because of this, which is it should be just an outrageous statement. But the things that we've heard for the last 3 years about all the things that are going to happen to this guy, it's par for the course basically. But it's my point is it's ridiculous, and we allow these politicians to get away with this stuff. In a more sort of center type headline, he's getting indicted and expect to surrender. Like I said, I could care less about the man himself, and whether he's guilty or not, I think is irrelevant in this situation, because what this is just another step that shows that this government is willing to do whatever it takes to get that outsider out of the way. So this is almost he's being the guinea pig, the canary in the coal mine, or, whatever you want to call it, whatever I'm trying to say here. He is that person that they are using as an example to let everyone else know, if you tried to come in and if you tried to rock our boat, you will be dealt with accordingly. And that's what they've been doing for the last 3-4 years with this guy. And as Americans, we've been so pigeoned against each other, and everybody is so one side or the other with this guy, and he is a polarizing figure. But we are so one side or the other with this guy that we're losing sight of the big picture. And that's what exactly our government is able and willing to do to maintain power, to do what they need to do. And this is just one small piece of that. There's more legislation, and Brian and I are going to talk about it on Sunday too, this Restrict Act. I may even do a short video about that as well. That basically it's the Patriot Act 2.0, and it's something that they can put through. If they don't have all their stooges in there pulling the strings and doing this stuff, then it's going to be a lot harder for them to do those things. And that all affects our ability to prepare. That all affects what we buy, how much they know that we buy. It's the digital currency, it's the social credit score, it's the digital tracking, all of those things, which I think are eventually at one point or another I think the boat has sailed on that. Basically, we are going to see it. There's no stopping it at this point. It's a matter of how it gets rolled out. But the last few years since he got in there, and since they started playing their games, and they started, they made this big production out of the January 6th incident, which they call an insurrection. I almost said another word, but they made such a big deal about that, and they've basically propagandized an entire nation to believe that what they're doing is right because of this guy, because of the bad guy. And it's really, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people are just totally bought into whatever the government says. We need the government. They have our best interest at heart. They're only trying to do the right things and blah, 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 blah. We all know, or at least I do anyway, that that's a bunch of BS, that is not the case. But these last few years, I've seen it, the last couple of years, I've seen it as kind of they pulled the curtain back from the wizard, right? Where all of this stuff is coming out and everything we've been talking about is becoming true. I think they see it as finally we don't have to hide. We can do this stuff that we want. We can put together this World Economic Forum game plan just like all the other countries in the West are doing, and we can start rolling this stuff out. The first thing we need to do is be able to lock down social media. Then we need to get that digital currency where we can track everything that people are doing. And then we can label people and chastise people and they give themselves the power to basically go after whoever they want. So we're seeing all of this stuff unfold, and this little situation right here is only one part of that big puzzle. It's all of these little things that people think, oh, it's okay because it's him, or oh, it's okay because it's him. Those little things start to add up, and pretty soon, Darren and I were talking last night on the live stream. This country is completely different than the way it used to be. There are so many things we've done in this country, so many advancements we've made racially and and technologically that so many great things that we've done, but it's all sort of wiped out by the government growing too big for their britches. And this happens throughout history all the time. It's not just us, and it's happening all over the world at this point. But you see this stuff going on, and it just doesn't seem like this is going anywhere good. It can't go anywhere good. It's just going to slowly get worse and worse. And the more that they can do and get away with, the more that they feel entitled, and the more that they're going to try. Like I said, it doesn't matter if Trump was innocent, guilty, or whatever. How many of them are guilty of the same crap, and probably even worse? I guarantee you a lot of them in there. I don't want to say a majority because I don't know, but a lot of them in there are. But he's the one. He doesn't know how to play the game. So they know how to play the game. They all have each other's backs, and it's just this big corrupt machine that is. Meanwhile, we're sitting down here just trying to get by. A lot of people don't even want to listen to this stuff. They get sick of hearing all this stuff. They just want to go to work, and I can't blame them. I can't just sit by and just not say anything, not get mad when I see something on TV, not get frustrated about the way that things are going. And that's, probably a big reason why I'm a prepper too, because that's one way that I can sort of brace for some of the stuff that's going on as little or as much as possible. How much that it affects what's going to come down the pipes, I don't know, but I'm going to do everything I can. And I think that's one way, kind of a therapy for me to be able to deal with all this stuff is knowing that, hey, at least I'm doing something. At least because it doesn't seem like regardless what happens, you're not going to be able to stop this machine. You've got the other day there were, I think in Mississippi yesterday, there were protests at the Capitol. People stormed into the Capitol, started protesting. You've seen things like that at the Supreme Court with the women, the women dressed. I forget what the show is, but they were dressed in the Handmaid's Tale. That's what I'm trying to say here. The Handmaid's Tale. Went in there and did that stuff. That stuff is acceptable. That stuff is tolerated. But after January 6th, nothing like that is going to be tolerated, even to a small scale anymore, because that has been deemed a threat. That has been categorized. That type of protesting has been categorized a threat to democracy, a threat to their democracy, a threat to the way they run things, their machine. So there are things that are perfectly socially acceptable, and then there are things that are not. And that's where we are as a country. So those things that are socially acceptable, those get put on the news. Those get amplified. Those get talked about by politicians. The other ones, people like us, we get chastised for our beliefs, our beliefs that, hey, this isn't the best way to do things, or this isn't right. The drag time story, or what the drag queen story time, or whatever the hell it is. That's not acceptable. But we get chastised for that, and we get called all sorts of names. So that's just kind of, this is just one sort of, symptom of a huge sickness that this country's got. And is one more thing, on top of another thing, on top of another thing, that is sort of just rolling us closer and closer to the edge of the cliff. And I think at some point, we're past the point. A lot of people talk about, hey, if we red pill everyone, we can actually stop this. Doug and Stacy, watched a video from him yesterday. Great channel, really smart guy. He was talking about if we red pill enough people, maybe we can sort of curtail this stuff. I don't know that is even an option these days. I think it's more of a, put your boots on and get ready to go to work, because it's that type of situation, because society wants it to go this direction. A lot of people want it to go this direction, at least the loud ones anyway. And then the media amplifies those voices, because that's the path of least resistance for them, right? If they say anything that we talk about, they're going to get all sorts of hate mail. They're going to get all sorts of, all the stuff on social media about how bad they are, and it could break their company. It could cost them millions of dollars. So they're not going to do that. They're going to go this path of least resistance, which is talking about the socially acceptable stuff. And that's where we are right now, and I don't see that changing. You put on top of that the social credit score, the AI, all the things that are coming down the pipe. I hate to be that doomsdayer. I really try not to be that guy. But my personal feelings, and not just for making a shock video or anything, my personal feelings are that we are headed in that direction. And that's, I've got to speak how I feel, and I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, and I'm not going to, Alex Jones anything either. I'm just going to say how I feel about this stuff. So, and there are, still some YouTubers that do that stuff, and I appreciate all of them. But at any rate, like I said, I'm going to be doing videos like this every once in a while. If I see a news story or a topic that interests me and I want to get on for, 10, 15 minutes or so, talk about it. Sometimes they might even be lives. Just get on here live and get your guys' thoughts on the things that are going on, the shape of our country. Sometimes they will be preparedness. Maybe I'll find a cool preparedness article, read that. Sometimes it's going to be news stories, just kind of whatever, gets me going that morning, or gets me interested and want to talk about something. We'll go through that. But I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on everything that I just talked about, basically. You can let me know about your thoughts on this Trump indictment, why it's bad for the country. I know a lot of people out there talking about how it's fantastic. It's about time. I don't see it that way, because who's next is I guess is my point. Who's next down the line that they're going to go after? Is it going to be a Democrat? Because right now the Republicans and Democrats, they're all the same omni party. They're basically the same thing. There might be a few stragglers on each side that really do have their convictions and stick to them, but for the most part, it's all one party up there. So who's next? If you're an outsider, there's no getting into their little club, basically. So anyway, love to get your guys' thoughts on that. Make sure, like I said, I'll be doing these all the time, as much as possible anyway. Make sure and hit the subscribe button, turn that bell notification on if you want to get emails anytime I do. Like I said, if they're going to be lives, they're going to be shorter lives. So you might want to jump in when I first start. Thursdays, I will be doing hour-long live shows, though, and I'll have some topics more scripted, I suppose, where this is just jumping on and talking about a story. But with that, I appreciate y'all joining in today. Appreciate you listening to me. Like I said, subscribe if you're not already. But I appreciate it, and we will talk to y'all later.